NBA Straya, how are you going? How you going? Are you good? You should be. Why is that, Jim? Well, it's Sunday, April 12. I'm working. You're probably not. So, thumbs up there. Tell you what, I am your host, James Clements, here in Larry Armour Studios, back down from Sydney, Australia, which is kind of fun. This is NBA Australia, of course, and the end of the regular season is basically here. Basketball, give me the ball, cause I wanna dunk it, yeah! What a day we have tomorrow. So this is why we're doing a Sunday show. We have the last day of the NBA regular season tomorrow. Nothing on today. All the teams played yesterday, and we're going to set you up for all the stuff that matters. The playoff races, but also the tanking. Oh, so much tanking. Oh, God. And also, Joel Embiid is out again. Nuts. So we'll talk through all of that, and that'll basically be it for today's show. We'll do a quick Straya player watch with the Aussies who got into a bit of action yesterday. That was awesome, so that'll be kind of fun. So, yeah, and then we'll pick and preview at the very end these extremely insane games tomorrow. The entire slate is off its rocker, so that'll be bloody fun. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Episode 1378 of NBA Australia. Let's go!
This is Josh Giddey.
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze.
This is Jack White.
This is Joe Ingles.
This is Darcy Daniels.
This is Chris Anstey.
This is Matthew Delvedova.
This is Shane Hill.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And 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 you're listening to NBA Australia.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening and watching NBA Australia.
This is NBA Australia. Let's do it.
Watch out for the shark attack.
You better watch out for the Sydney attack if you're me. Jeez, I had fun. Went to see Tism, erstwhile Australian band that you might remember, play the Sydney Opera House inside the damn thing. It was it was absolutely amazing. A. B. That crowd was hilarious. And C. I am so happy I went. And D. Sydney was glorious. It has been so crummy down here in Melbourne. You go to Sydney, I land, it's awesome and warm. And of course, you sort of have that moment of that's right, Sydney, the humidity. But basically spent, 2 days in shorts and a t-shirt, having a great time, drinking a million beers with some mates and going to see one of my all-time favorite bands play the Sydney Opera House. It was absurd. I had a great time. That was awesome. So, then I sort of got back and suddenly the kids are just beating each other up and you're like, oh, missed this. Anyway, let's start today's show with the daily whoosh. It's a whip around. I'll tell you what, we've got no drops today because we're sort of just going to punch through all this sort of playoff gear and sort of set you all up because this was such a cool weekend. Obviously, I didn't do a show Friday. Turns out I didn't need to because the biggest sort of news coming out of the Saturday games is that no one played. You thought it was bad? It got worse. What was it? Memphis didn't have 14 of their players. 14! You have an NBA roster that's 15 plus your two-ways. It's just absurd and very, very fun. That entire game was absolutely chaos. We had no fewer than 168 NBA players not take part in NBA games on Saturday, which is when every single team played, right? That is sort of reaching very close to half the NBA, right? 350 players, absolutely crazy. 168 of them out. All the starters for Thunder Nuggets, gone. It was just non-stop, up and down, everything. Again, we obviously do an NBA Supercoach show. Jim does Supercoach. It was just chaos in Supercoach this week. It was just stupid. But it did, however, get us to a game where you had Memphis versus Utah, the world's greatest tank-off game where neither team wanted to win. And Utah, despite themselves, smashed them. It was also the first game in NBA history to have 3 players have triple doubles. Of course, they are the immortal Jemai Mashak, John Concar, and NBA Australia's own beloved Bez and Bang. Hell yes. That's right. Bez and Bang went 27, 11, 11 off the bench. Hell yeah. Concar goes 11, 11, and 10. The old Jason Kidd triple-double. And Marshak had a 13, 15, 14. Abs in 48 minutes. It was, you had Pods finally dropped 30. This is the meme, Pods, the Twitter thing, not tweeting again till Pods has 30. He had 30. AJ Green set a MILWAUKEE Bucks record for threes made in a game, going past Ray Allen and Damian Lillard. He had 11. AJ Green is your new leader in the clubhouse. And then the biggest news coming out of the weekend, though, was Joel Embiid's giant appendix. Now, again, I'm no medical doctor, not anymore. But I just assume that Joel Embiid being 7'2", like all of him is just bigger, including his internal organs. So I just assume he's got a very large appendix. And had to have an emergency appendectomy. What the hell? So he's in like a hospital in Houston instead of playing. Now, you might want to cast your mind back about a week ago or so. And Embiid's like, they won't let me play. I want to play, but I mean, I can't play. Yes, I've been sick, but I'll be fine. Smash cut. He's in fucking hospital. Juice. Having his appendix out, which I just assume is like, I don't know, the size of like one of those, you ever see one of those giant, what are they called, a pear slug or whatever? Yeah. Just, I don't know. Again, not a medical doctor. But the repercussions of Joel Embiid having an emergency appendectomy are huge, just like that, a massive appendix, apparently. The appendix was bigger than the appendices of Lord of the Rings. There you go. That's not a bad one. But this is crazy because Philly were like, and we'll talk about this playoff race in a second, but Philly were this terrifying-ish, sleeping giant-ish, playoff sleeper-ish kind of team, right? Because you've got Maxey back, playoff PEDP, playing the best basketball of his last, I don't know, 5 years, and Joel Embiid not having to play back-to-backs in a playoff series and being able to go hammer and tongs. That's maybe out the window. No, we don't actually have like a definitive like answer about how long he could be out. But yeah, emergency surgery on your appendix and then going to play basketball. I don't know if he's going to come back soon. So I think the timeframes we've seen are basically 2-3 weeks plus on an emergency appendectomy, and that sucks. It just sucks because look, I loved the idea of Philly being this random low seed like floater that put the absolute fear of God into bottling it in a first round playoff series against like Boston or the Knicks or somebody. And now that's probably out the window. So that stinks. And the last little bit before we get into talking about this playoff chaos that's happening all tomorrow, we had this very, very interesting situation where, I mean, everyone's doing their All-NBA teams. We're going to do ours this week as well, of course. And we've got this sort of weird setup where Kawhi Leonard, he's out there. He's going to be the one that actually qualifies for end-of-season awards, having played less minutes than Luka, Cade Cunningham, and Ant-Man, right? So Kawhi hasn't hit 2,100 minutes yet. Ant-Man's on 2,137, Cade 2,150, and Luka 2,289. Which brings us back to this minutes played All-NBA. Like, we've got a hard and fast 65-game rule, which is just weirdly arbitrary, essentially. I do love it. And people, I feel like, have come around to my way of thinking, right? Like, 65 games has definitely made sure that some stars that might otherwise rest or just take a couple of RDOs have gone, bloody hell, I've actually got to play games that I'm being paid to do. Which is good. I want the players playing the games, right? Under not pushing themselves if they're going to get injured or this sort of, or if they're coming back from injury too quick. But it is setting like a little bit of a precedent of like, yeah, dude, you've got to play the games to get the rewards. That's how it works. That's what the money's for. And so I think having the minutes as well. Like if we talked about this, if you want to get to like 1900, 1950, 2000 minutes, 2100 seems like a lot as well. But I mean, most of these sort of guys got to it. So I'm just saying, maybe this is what we should be looking at. I think 1950, 2000 seems like a fair cutoff because it sort of probably gets a couple of folks in there if they cop like a bad injury in the last couple of weeks and ping a hammy or do something, right? So I don't know. We've just got to put in a minutes thing as well as the games thing. It's just stupid otherwise. 65 games or 2,050 minutes. What's wrong with this? And also, the NBA could just do this tomorrow. Like, I don't know why they're like, oh, we have to take it to the committee. Do you? Just say it. Like, no one's going to, like, arc up. Jesus. Anyway. So, there we go. That's where we sort of sit. A lot of players missing the other day. We had the Celtics equal the record for threes made in a game that was like chaos, whatever. What do they hit? 29 threes? It's just insane. I mean, the 65 game thing was interesting. Wemby got to 65 his last game. And Jokic, I think, needs to still play 20 minutes in this final game of the season as well. So he's listed as questionable, and like the rest of Denver are just like, nah. So going into this, we're about to do these, the standings check and the tomorrow's games and what matters. But yeah, Denver is already kind of like, I think we might tank out of the 3 spot. And everyone's like, are they that afraid of Minnesota? Like, what the hell? Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So, that's it. Let's get into it. Standings check. So, where are we at right now? Before the games tomorrow, Jim. Well, Detroit locked away the 1 seed. Boston, the 2 seed in the East. New York, the 3 seed. Cleveland, the 4 seed. The 5 seed at the moment is Atlanta. It could be Toronto. The 6 seed is Toronto. It could also be Atlanta or Philly or Orlando. The 7 seed is currently Orlando. It could be Orlando, Toronto, or Philly. And 8 is Philly. It could be Philly or Orlando. 9 at the moment is Charlotte, but it could also be Miami. And the 10 seed currently is Miami. It could be Charlotte. Now, we're going to break down all the different situations in a second after we go through all these games. But that's how it stands right now. 1 Detroit, 2 Boston, 3 New York, 4 Cleveland, 5 Atlanta, 6 Toronto, 7 Orlando Magic, Philly at 8, Charlotte at 9. I've got the hat on. And 10 is your Miami Heat. In the West, the 1 seed locked away is the Oklahoma City Thunder. 2 is San Antonio Banderas Spurs. 3 currently is Denver. It could also be the Lakers. 4 is the Lakers right now. Could be Denver. 5 is Houston, locked away. 6 is Minnesota, locked away. 7 is the Suns, locked away. 8 is currently your Portland Trailblazers. It could also be the Clippers. 9 is currently the Clippers, could also be Portland. And 10, the Golden State Warriors are locked away there. So that's where we stand going into the games tomorrow. With all 30 teams playing, let's do it. What are the games tomorrow, Jim? And then we'll talk about which games actually matter. So we have Orlando at Boston. This game matters for Orlando. Washington, Cleveland, no one could. Who cares? Detroit, Indy. This matters, and this is the other sort of the flip side of this coin. The tanking teams can't afford to win some of these games either, especially Indy. I'll get to that in a sec. Atlanta, Miami is a huge one. That's what sort of the 5 and 10 pivot around. Charlotte against the Knicks in MSG. Knicks nothing to play for. Charlotte right there. That's huge. Milwaukee, Philly. Only one team is actually caring about that one. Brooklyn, Toronto. Again, another one team cares. The other one definitely doesn't want to win. Chicago, Dallas. That's a big tank game in terms of the tanking standings. Memphis, Houston. No one cares. Who cares? New Orleans, Minnesota. Who cares? Phoenix, OKC. Who cares? Denver, San Antonio. So the injury report for the Nugs is already Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway the Lesser, Peyton Watson. They're all out. Spencer Jones, he's even out. Jokic is questionable, so that's fun. So obviously San Antonio doesn't matter to them, matters to Denver. Utah at the Lakers, matters to the Lakers. Also matters that Utah lose, just FYI. Golden State, the Clippers. Clippers need to win that. Golden State locked away. Sacramento, Portland. Sacramento do not want to win. Portland do. So, with all that in mind, which of those games matter, Jim, and why? Well, out east, the early games, right? And so they also, I do love the final day of the season because they just go, right, you're all playing at the same time, which is awesome. So all these games are at 8 a.m. Monday time, our time, right? Eastern Standard Time. And there are 5 East games that matter, right? Out of the, what? Just how many are there? I know that's 4. Yeah, Chicago, Dallas is like the one flip side one. But anyway, that sort of only matters. Orlando at Boston. This matters because Orlando, if they win, they can still get into the 6th seed, right? Boston do not care. Who cares? And they're already locked into the 2 spot. They're at home. This could be a playoff preview. It was a playoff series last year, and it was horrible. But Orlando definitely need to win this game if they got any chance of, like, because they're currently, in 7. They would love, I reckon, to have a locked away chance at not being in the play-in. Then we get, so Orlando, Boston. Orlando need to win. Boston, they don't care. Atlanta at Miami. This game matters a lot. If Miami win, they give themselves a very good chance, if Charlotte lose to the Knicks, to jump out of the 10 spot, get into the 9. If Atlanta win, they're locked into the 5 seed. So this is a huge one for Atlanta, right? They just win. Atlanta just win over Miami. They're 5. If I'm the Hawks, I want to win that bloody game. Just saying. Unless they really, really like a matchup against the Knicks in the first round, I don't know. I'd probably rather have the Cleveland Cavaliers if I'm Atlanta. So that's the Atlanta-Miami game. Matters for both teams. Charlotte at the Knicks. This matters for Charlotte. It doesn't matter for the Knicks. If Charlotte win, they are the 9 seed. Simple as that. Right? Doesn't matter what Miami do. If Charlotte win, they're the 9 seed. They own the tiebreaker. Milwaukee, Philly. Philly, if they want to have any crack at like getting to the 6 seed, because they're currently the 8 spot, they need basically a loss from Toronto against Brooklyn and Orlando to lose to Boston, and Philly could jump them, which is pretty cool, into the 6th spot. Philly, though, look, even without Embiid, they should be too good for Milwaukee. They don't care about theirs, and they definitely don't want to win, right? Because if Milwaukee win, they put one more little bit of a gap between them and Chicago in terms of like the odds percentage in the tank race. And then the final game that matters in the East is Brooklyn at Toronto. Toronto desperately want to win this just to have that locked away 6 seed. Because like if Atlanta win, if Toronto win, they're the 6. Simple as that. Easy. They can also just get the 6 if Orlando and Philly lose, but that doesn't look likely. So Toronto need to win. Brooklyn are like, this is great. We're not going to have any chance of winning this game. So that's the East. Those are the 5 games that matter. There is a great East-West Chicago-Dallas game that matters for tanking purposes as well, right? Neither team will want to win that because at the moment, Dallas are tied on record with the Grizzlies, so they don't want to jump them at all. 25 and 56, both of them. And Chicago is 1 win behind the Bucks, 31 and 50. They don't want to win either, right? Because if they tie them up, they'll split like the odds. It's crazy. So don't win that game, either of you, I guess. I think Dallas will want to lose that even more. Chicago are just pointless and they don't know what they're doing. So here we are. Now, the West games that matter. There are a couple. There's 4. Denver at San Antonio. This matters for Denver. If they win this, they're like, this is awesome. We're going to be the 3 seed. If they don't want to win it, they can drop to the 4 spot because the Lakers host Utah and Utah don't want to win. Simple as that, because they are tied at 22 and 59 with the Sacramento Kings. They don't want to win another game to Utah. They want to split those odds of Sacramento, who are probably going to lose to Portland. That's in a second. So Utah definitely want to lose. Lakers probably want to win. They would probably, I don't know. It's all up to the Lakers, right? LeBron just is like, oh, God, now I've got no Luka, no Austin Reeves. It's old man Bronny time. Let's go. If they're in a 4-5 against Houston, I don't know. Would they prefer to play the Wolves in the 3-6? Don't know. It's a really interesting situation for the Lakers, but they're probably going to win that game regardless. The Spurs, I don't know if they even if they don't try, they might still win that one. San Antonio. So I think Denver feel like they're trying to tank out of that 3 spot. Golden State Clippers matters for the Clippers because they need to win that to give themselves a chance if Portland lose to Sacramento in this other final game that matters. Clippers win. They can move up to 8 if Portland lose. If Portland win, it doesn't matter. They're the 8 seed, and away we go. So, how's this all work out? I'll tell you what. Are you strapped in? There's a lot going on. So, breaking this all down. 1 through 4 in the East is locked away. Hawks get the 5 seed if they win, or if Orlando win, because that just knocks out Toronto's chance in terms of the tiebreaker, right? They got a head-to-head breaker with the Magic, and a 3-way tie with the Hawks, Raptors, and Magic goes to Atlanta because they are the division winners. Hawks will be the 6 seed if they lose, and the Raptors win. Simple. Raptors can be the 5 seed if they win and the Hawks lose and the Magic lose. That's good. It's because they beat the Hawks head-to-head, and the 3-way tie means the Hawks in the 5 seed is, as we said before, but the Raptors can be right there as the 5 seed. If they win, Hawks lose, Magic lose. Raptors would get the 6 seed if they just win. If the Hawks win, cool, and a Magic loss, whatever. But if the Raptors win, they're the 6 seed. So basically this comes down to Hawks win, they're the 5 seed. Raptors win, they're the 6 seed. Magic have to rely on the Raptors losing to sort of jump up into the 6 spot. Magic have to win and the Raptors lose to get the 6. The Sixers can get the 6 seed if both the Raptors and the Magic lose to Brooklyn and Boston. I don't know if that's going to happen. So, bit of a weird one. Raptors could actually be the 7 seed if they lose and the Magic win and the Sixers lose. It's chaos there. So, Magic could be the 7 seed with the Raptors win. Basically, yeah, if Atlanta win, they're the 5. This is the most likely sort of outcome, right? Atlanta win, they're the 5 seed. Toronto win, they're the 6 seed. Magic, they win against Boston, they're the 7 seed, right? So, if the Sixers lose to Milwaukee, Magic still get the 7 seed. But the Sixers, if they win and the Magic lose, they could be the 7 spot and Orlando drop to 8. So Raptors can also drop to 8 all the way down if the Magic win and the Sixers win and the Raptors lose to Brooklyn. Probably not likely. So how does this all sort of actually probably wash out? Atlanta beats Miami. Even though that's going to be an interesting one. They get the 5 spot. Toronto probably kill Brooklyn. They get the 6 spot. Orlando probably beat a resting Boston. They get the 7. And Philly just sort of going, oh, come on, man. Beat Milwaukee. They land in the 8 spot. So 7-8 would be an interesting sort of play-in matchup where you'd have, Orlando versus Philly. Interesting. And then 9-10, you're sort of locked away. Charlotte, Miami. Because that is a very simple one. If Charlotte win, they're the 9 seed. If Miami win and Charlotte lose, Miami jump them into the 9 spot. But if they both win, Charlotte just get it. Miami, I don't know if they're going to beat Atlanta. So I reckon they're your 10 seed. So most likely Atlanta 5, Toronto 6, Orlando 7, Philly 8, Charlotte 9, Miami 10. Most likely. Just saying. Something always goes a bit weird. But the fact that all of those teams, apart from Atlanta, are playing pretty big. I mean, Orlando with Boston, yeah, but Boston's probably resting folks. Miami might rest folks as well for the playing game. Just saying. So we'll see what happens. And in the West, Denver win, they're 3. They lose and the Lakers win. The Lakers are 3 and Denver are 4. Simple as that. Denver already resting everybody. Feels like they're tanking down to the 4, doesn't it? In the West, 8-9. If Portland win, they're the 8. Doesn't matter what the Clippers do. If Portland lose and the Clips win, it switches and the Clippers are the 8, Portland are 9. If they both lose to Sacramento and who are the Clippers playing and Golden State, that'd be pretty funny. It'd still be Portland 8, Clippers 9. So those are the games that matter tomorrow for playoff seedings and stuff like that. It feels like Denver just go, we don't really care. San Antonio, do you want this win? And Spurs are like, oh, I guess. Spurs are already at 62 and 19. That's pretty awesome. Denver, most of this is sort of set up so that Denver have this very interesting pathway to any sort of like actual, finals run where they would then have to go, like if you think about the brackets, the Nugs would have a 4-5, so they'd play Houston. If they won that, they'd probably play OKC already. And then if they won through that, then they'd probably have to go through San Antonio, is probably the most likely one there, right? So a bit of a weird one. It's sort of Denver going, look, we'd rather get OKC early, but it means you're going to go through Houston, who, I mean, have looked a bit dodgy, but here we are. So those are the games that matter. We got 9 of them tomorrow, and then there's tanking implications. What do the games mean for the worst teams, Jim? Well, the bottom 3, the best odds at not falling out of the top 5. Remember, so Washington clinched the worst record. Great job, Wizards. We never doubted your abilities ever. 17-64. The Pacers are second at 19-62. And the Nets at 20-61 with a game against a Raptors team that desperately needs to win. Indy, however, have, as I mentioned, that really strange game against Detroit. If they win, suddenly you get this weird sort of thing where they split some of the odds. So they've still got like their same sort of chances at the number 1 and all this sort of stuff. It's all flat with that top 3, the 14. It sort of starts getting a little bit more interesting as you get down to your chances of dropping out of the top 5. Because remember, Indy own their pick 1 through 4 and then give it to the Clippers 5 through 9. So they've got to be just like, oh, come on, man. Because being the second worst team means that they still have like a 20% chance of landing the 6 and a 27.8% chance of getting the pick number 5. So Indy will be packing their DAX on lottery day, which is still hilarious. Brooklyn, they can't win against Toronto or else that'll... actually, no, they're fine. But if they end up basically... Because they, lost a couple of good games and because Sacramento and Utah both won their last game, Brooklyn is locked into that spot with the 3 with 14% chance at number 1 overall. But still with the ability to drop all the way down to 7 out of the 3rd worst record. So, this is what happens. Sacramento and Utah are tied at 4 and 5. Which is really interesting because if they both lose, it's kind of like the 4th best odds. I'm pretty sure that gets split between the two of them. It sort of, makes a little bit of a difference across like the top, just the ramifications if they're still tied. It gets a little bit squirrely. And then the fascinating one for me, because Sacramento and Utah should both lose, so they'll probably end up tied. So it's just a little bit weird in the 4-5. Dallas have the 6th best odds all of a sudden. Just don't beat Chicago tomorrow. Lock that away because Memphis are right behind them going, hello, we're bad. They've gone 2-20 in their last 22 games. They're playing nobody. But Dallas being able to add absolutely awesome top-tier talent next to Cooper Flagg is massive. And Memphis going, we've got nothing left. What are we doing? It's probably big for them as well. So in the 6th spot, you've suddenly got, a 9% chance of getting the number 1 pick again, which is substantially more than the chance they had last year, which was 1.5%. Amazing work. Or 3%. Was it 3%? No, they had a lower one last year, I'm pretty sure. So Dallas at 6, Memphis at 7. So Dallas can't beat Chicago. Memphis, they're just sitting there going, we are trying not to beat Houston. We couldn't beat anybody the other day. Utah, they got their heads kicked in. It was hilarious. So that's important for them. And then at number 8, you've got the New Orleans Pelicans, who don't even have their pick and have still rested their dudes for some reason. So good job, pals. I guess that's certainly something. And they've got 26. They're 26-55. That's where they want to be. Number 9, this is the big one. Chicago. They don't want to beat Dallas either. That gets them to a split with Milwaukee in 10. Who are 32-49, Bulls are 31-50. Bucks are playing Philly. Philly definitely want to win that, so just chalk that down as a Bucks loss, unless Doc Rivers goes revenge style against his old Sixers team. But Chicago, they're at 9 at the moment, which is hilarious because it's the 9 spot in the draft. Chicago just going, oh, wait a minute, we want a tank, is exactly why they fired their dudes halfway, a week or two ago. after so much mismanagement that it's just, I don't know, egregious. Anyway, Milwaukee 10. And at the moment, it's 11 Golden State, 12 the Clippers, 13 Miami, 14 Charlotte. Interesting, slight little jostlings, I guess, for Miami and Charlotte, depending on the outcome of their games. Clippers as well, if they sort of jump into they would move back from the 12 seed. But I think they owe their pick to OKC anyway, because that's right. Remember, they owed it when they looked like the worst team in the entire world. They were going to give the number one pick to OKC. At the moment, they're the 12 spot. So there you go. That's where it all lands. So out of all of this, what do you reckon the best playoff matchups would be for each playoff seeding spot? Well, let's start in the East. Obviously, it's Charlotte getting through the play-in from the 9 spot, beating Miami, and then probably beating, Philly. And then that sets up Detroit versus Charlotte. What did they do this year, Jim? I don't know. Nothing but punched on. There's a lot of bad blood there. That would be sick as. Sign me up for a Detroit-Charlotte first round series, 1-8. 2-7, Boston versus whom? This would have been awesome if Philly had gotten through to the 7 spot, if they had Joel Embiid. They do not. That would just be a bit of a depressing series now, I think. Right? You're just like, VJ Edgecombe, kind of cool. Maxi, fun. PEDP, sure thing. And then you're like, but you've got this team of no centers going up against another team with no centers, and here we all are. Right? It would be it just would lack that real good punch, because suddenly they're starting Adam Boner at center, the Philadelphia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6s, and Andre Drummond is suddenly a really big part of their rotation still. So, I don't know. I feel like Boston-Orlando would probably give us a better chance at an actual half-decent series, because they played last year. That was just a steamrolling by the Celtics. But this was also an Orlando team that just kept losing dudes all season last year. They are, at least this year, they're not looking... They've had a nice little run here and there, have the Magic. They've won, 4 of their last 5, whatever. But Orlando won the first matchup 123-110. The second game, the Celtics won at 111-107. And then the last one was in November, 138-129. So it's sort of a little bit untested as to who's actually out there, what they're doing, and what the Magic could actually throw at a Celtics team where, I don't know, they don't really scare you that much with Paolo playing the way he is, but they are seemingly at mostly full health. Suggs, Desmond Bain, Franz Wagner, hello, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell. With Anthony Black coming off the bench, Jamal Cain playing awesome, Tristan Aravinda da Silva, the bastard Goga. Remember how he hurt Jock? That's his full name now. The bastard Goga bastard Batazde. Anyway, so I think Boston-Orlando is probably the better one of that 2-7 outside of maybe the weird thing is you just got to look at who could land in the 7-8 matchup at the moment, and it's Orlando, Philly, Toronto. I probably prefer the Orlando matchup, all right? I think that would probably give us a little bit more awesome basketball. And that's kind of what I'm gunning for, because the 3-6, I think New York, Toronto would be the most fun one, because it's the Bargnani, OG, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley Bowl. There's a lot of back and forth between the Raptors and the Knicks. And I feel like there's a little bit of how you going there too. So I'm kind of all about that one, because I think if Atlanta switched down to, if they drop down to 6 with a loss against Miami or something, Knicks Atlanta would be kind of fun, but it just leaves us with this weird Cleveland-Toronto series. So I think New York-Toronto is more fun, and then Cleveland-Atlanta in the 4-5 is weirdly great. It's Harden, Mitchell, Mobley, Jared Allen, whichever wing you want to play in there, Jalen Tyson, Maxey Strus and co. Up against the Great Barrier Thief, Dyson Daniels, CJ McCollum, Nicky Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, who's awesome, Kongwu. You got the wild card of Johnny Cumbucket Kuminga. That's just a pretty fun series. I reckon that could be an absolute basketball junkie series, 4-5, Cleveland-Atlanta. I reckon that'd be awesome. So I think those would be the most fun matchups in the East. In the West, it's a little bit weirder in the West. 1-8, what do you want? Right? Do you want, if Phoenix lose to Portland and they then win the second play-in game, do you want Portland? Do you want the Clippers winning through to the 8th seed? Do you want Golden State? I think Portland, if they end up with the 8th seed out of all of this, I think that might be the most fun. OKC Clippers, the Clippers just feel so malleable and like a work in progress that it's really hard to trust what that team could do against the Clippers. Whereas Portland is just chaos as a basketball team, right? You got Donovan Clingan out there up against Chet Holmgren. You've got like Jrue Holiday, the old vet. You've got Denny Avdia on his breakout year going hammer and tongs. I think OKC Portland, not to mention the old Seattle versus Blazers rivalry, I kind of don't mind that more than like the husk of a Warriors team, this Darius Garland, like Kawhi Leonard, Clippers team without a Zoobs or without any actual, like they've got John Collins and Brook Lopez. Just a bit, I think that'd be a bit underwhelming. Whereas Portland, they're feisty. They will have a crack. They've got nothing to lose. They'll just go hammer and tongs. I think OKC Portland will be a very, very fun series. Can we get Dame back? Just get out there for a couple of threes in the corner. West 2-7. I think this is Spurs Suns. Like Suns already locked into the 7th spot. I think if they win that play-in game, it's basically, it could be either Phoenix, Portland, maybe the Clippers. I think Suns Phoenix is just probably the more entertaining one. Suns will get steamrolled because you got Booker, but you've got Dylan Brooks just in there causing all sorts of havoc, right? He's definitely going to try to fight Stephon Castle at some point. But you've got their young, awesome guards in De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, not to mention Wemby, obviously. But the Suns with Booker, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks and stuff, this will be a really crazy back and forth series, I think. The Suns probably got no chance, but I think it's a more entertaining series than like Spurs Portland or Spurs Clippers. You know what I'm saying? And you've also got that animosity, I think, between the Spurs and the Suns. Think about all those, mid-thousands series. The classic Tim Duncan game 1-3 game, which is crazy. The Boris Diaw, the Michael Finn, just absolute chaos going on all the time. Spurs Suns, sign me up. 3-6, you'd have Lakers Minnesota. I mean, that seems probably more fun than Denver Minnesota. I think the Lakers would get killed by whoever they play. But LeBron having a crack against Ant-Man, it would feel like a bit of a passing of the torch, right? It just feels like an okay sort of setup as well to get Minnesota through to the next round and actually like give us a pretty good battle. Then 4-5, you'd have Denver Houston, obviously, which is sort of where it all lands. Where if Denver get the 4 seed here, they play the Rockets, OKC, and then the Spurs or the Wolves or something in the Western Conference Finals if they make it that far. Is that easier than like Wolves, Spurs, OKC? Probably. I don't know. How healthy is Ant-Man? How long is a piece of string? Right? I don't know. It's a weird one. But Denver-Houston feels like a pretty fun setup either way. So I think those are the easiest and most fun sort of matchups we could get. Wow. So there you go. What do you reckon? Are you excited? You should be. You really, really should be. All right. How about a bit of Australian Player Watch? All right. The Aussies got up to a little bit over the weekend. Lockie Olbrich started against Orlando, and the brick, he went off his head. 32 minutes, 6 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, a block and a steal. Yo, beauty. That's awesome. He shot 3 of 7, including 0 of 3 from downtown. Lockie Olbrich is now 2 of 19 from 3 in his debut NBA season. But still, 6, 9, and 5. That's awesome. I don't care that, no one cared about that game. Dyson Daniels. Obviously, no Josh Giddey in that game for the Bulls. He's basically been shut down with his hammy. Dyson Daniels, he went out of, basically had a triple-double by the third quarter on the Cavs. He had a team high plus 36 as well, which is pretty good. He had a 13, 12, and 10 with 2 steals, shot 6 of 10. That was awesome. He is flying, is the Great Barrier Thief. Remember, Jock Landale didn't play in that game because of that bastard Goga Bataze. And he's, just dog act. Josh Green played 11 minutes against Detroit for the Hornets. He had 1 block, and that was it. Sure. Jingles and Rocco didn't play against Houston for the Wolves. Tyrese Proctor carved it up against Atlanta, though. 15 points in 12 minutes. 5 of 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 3 of 3. 3 for free at the free throw line. 4 assists, a rebound, and a steal. That's pretty bloody good if you ask me. No one did, but I'm telling you anyway. Simple as that. And Aussie Matty T for your Portland Trailblazers against the Clippers on the weekend. He had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, and 4 steals. Bloody hell. Shot 2 of 5 from the floor and 1 of 3 from downtown. Matty T. And this is kind of the interesting thing about the Portland setup. If they've got a healthy Aussie Matty T, Tamani Kamara, they've just got some defensive dogs to have a crack at OKC as well. So I think they'll still get steamrolled, but that'll be fun while it happens. And yeah, so there you go. There's your setup for tomorrow, which is awesome. Just a real quick extra Shane Hill shoot your shot, light 'em up award. Con Knipple made more threes in his rookie year than Ray Allen ever made in a season. Which is crazy, right? He's got 270, Con. He's got one more game tomorrow, obviously. And Ray Allen made 269 threes in 1 year. That's the highest he ever made. 2005, 2006. So that's pretty good. Right, so let's do some picks for tomorrow. So it's very fraught, obviously, doing the picks for tomorrow's games. Why is that, Jim? Because we don't know who's going to play. And half these teams don't want to play their dudes anyway. So we'll basically do our best and sort of see what happens and see if we can't figure this out. Orlando are 10.5-point favorites in Boston. Boston are 100% going to make them earn that. I'm going to take Boston plus 10.5. I think Orlando still win. And that sort of gets them essentially in the conversation to keep, have a crack at like the 6, but I think they still land in the 7 because Washington, Cleveland, I don't think that game matters at all. Cavs resting their dudes. Might go Washington plus 12.5 as a little bit of a final salvo for their season. Detroit, Indy. Indy desperately don't want to win this game. As I mentioned, they don't want to split any odds further down the line with Brooklyn. We'll look at this one. So Detroit, 11.5-point favorites. They're locked into that one spot. Will they still smash them? I don't think Indy takes any chances with this, and Detroit still kill them. So we'll go at Detroit minus 11.5. Atlanta, Miami. This is a big one. Miami are actually favorites by 1.5 points here. So I don't know. This is a really interesting setup, isn't it? I think we've already got Dyson Daniels as questionable with his toe. So we'll see what happens in terms of like the rest of the injury report. But for the minute, you look at on the injury report for tomorrow, you've already got Dyson Daniels questionable, Nicky Alexander-Walker questionable, Jalen Johnson questionable, Johnny Kuminga questionable, CJ questionable, Onyeka Okongwu questionable. Don't look now, but that's their entire starting lineup. So Atlanta, despite having needing to win, they might just go, nah, we're fine. We reckon we'll be fine no matter where we land, 5 or 6. We're okay playing either Cleveland or New York. So it sort of feels like they're just like maybe just going, well, we'll just sort of sniff the wind and see how we're doing. We might rest everybody. We might not. That's a tough one. I'm going to go Miami because they're just going to play hard. But as favorites, I mean, yeah, it's a really tricky one. It's up to Atlanta. Sort of does feel like they're ducking Cleveland though, doesn't it? Bit of a weird one. Charlotte at the Knicks. You've got Charlotte 11.5-point favorites. They should probably, steamroll a Knicks team that'll be resting some of their guys. But I don't know. This is the really tricky part of this one too. Like how many of the Knicks will be actually resting. We've already got OG out. You've got Brunson, Cat, Hart, Mitch Robinson. I think Charlotte, who need to win, and especially if Miami beats Atlanta, Charlotte need to win to make sure they get the 9 spot. So I think they smash them. There you go, 11.5. Philly, Milwaukee. What do you reckon about the Sixers? The Sixers, I think they'll probably just kick their heads in. That's pretty easy for me. I mean, without Embiid, it's a bit of a strange one, but I think they still kill them. What's the line there, though, Jim? 16.5. I think Philly cover that. Milwaukee don't want to win. They don't want to end up, gifting away that spot with Chicago. So let's go Philly minus 16.5. Brooklyn, Toronto. Toronto, I'm going to smash them. They're 20.5-point favorites, and I'm actually pretty much okay with that because Brooklyn desperately don't want to win that. Well, actually, I don't think it really matters, but Toronto desperately want to win. So we'll go the Raps. Then the weird switchover game. Chicago, Dallas. What do we reckon? We've got the Mavs 6.5-point favorites. Don't win this one, Dallas. Don't win this one. Chicago don't want to win either. Who wins out in this tank game? I think Dallas. I think they just go a little bit too hard and win that. Memphis, Houston. Rockets will probably beat them, even though Memphis won't be playing anybody. Houston won't either. Houston probably still kill them. Yeah. New Orleans at Minnesota. New Orleans probably rest their dudes. Minnesota probably do as well. Let's go New Orleans plus 7.5. The win doesn't really matter to where they are at. So they'll probably, some of the young dudes might pop off. A lot of Jordan Hawkins. What do we got? Phoenix, OKC. OKC resting everybody. Phoenix plus 5.5 in OKC, or the OKC young dude still going off. I'm probably going to go the OKC young dude still going off. Denver, San Antonio. With the Nugs seemingly resting everybody but Jokic, Spurs are 9.5-point favorites. Let's go Denver plus 9.5 anyway. Do you reckon they can keep up with them? Or are they just going to tank too hard? No, they'll probably tank too hard. Let's go Spurs. Utah, Lakers. Lakers are 15.5-point favorites. I don't know. Is that taking into account Bez and Bang? I don't know. I'm going to go, 15.5 is a lot for a Lakers team that doesn't have that much going on, right? Let's take Utah plus. Oh, no, they desperately don't want to win either because they're tied up with Sacramento. So, yeah, pack her up, boys. Lakers 15.5. Clippers, Warriors. Warriors resting dudes as well. Clippers need to win to actually get on into the next tier of the play-in spot. If they win, they give themselves a chance if Portland drop the game to Sacramento. So Clippers probably try. 6.5-point favorites. And then Portland is 16.5-point favorites against Sacramento. I think I'll take that as well. They should smash them. So that's a lot of the favorites we're taking tomorrow, just because if they're favorites, they've actually usually got a little bit of something to play for. Because as I mentioned, right, there's 9 games that actually matter. And trying to sort of navigate that is just it's a minefield. And with all the injury report stuff out there, it's absolutely chaos. So, I don't know. The Dallas-Chicago one is still the funniest. No one wants to win kind of game. So, anyway, there we go. Is that it? I think that might be it for today. We've set you up for tomorrow. All the picks will be up on Double. You can find the picks in our show description or the social bios. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the Sunday edition of NBA Australia. What we'll do is we'll jump on tomorrow after all of this is set up and the play-ins are sort of locked away and all the seeding is figured out. And that'll be really fun. I can't wait. It's going to be a really chaotic day. So all the games start at 8 a.m. For the East, and then the West teams all start at 10:30 a.m. So that's going to be really cool, very fun, and we'll see what happens in these games. And we'll have the wash for you tomorrow. So that'll be good. All right. But that's it. Back on deck tomorrow for a big Monday show, setting you up for the play-ins and the playoff seedings and all that sort of stuff. And in the meantime, make sure you're following NBA Australia on Twitter, Facebook, IG, TikTok, YouTube, NFL Australia as well. Myself and Gaz will be doing a bit of a draft off-season preview wrap-up pretty soon. But Footy Unfilterated, our new AFL show. Go check that out. It's awesome. Check it out across all the socials, on your podcast apps, etc. YouTube, it's got its own channel. That's very fun. I love talking footy. What else is there? There is Jim Does Supercoach. NBA Supercoach will do a wrap show for that next week as well. This week. So, because that'll come to a screeching halt after tomorrow's games. We'll see how we end up. What are we, top 600 at the moment? It's not bad, but yeah, 2 bad weeks just absolutely blew us out. Anyway, so go check out Jim Does Supercoach. We also have the AFL Supercoach show each week too. So rate, review, star, subscribe across all your podcast apps, whatever. Jump on the YouTube for all the channels as well. Say g'day. Big thanks always go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song They Rule. So to House Hats, Josh Shadilla, Redless, Fascinated, Goldmines, Ramshackle Army, iOS X, Jedi, Green, and Dozers there behind all the tunes you hear on the show. Smash them on your music streaming platform of choice. You can help support the show as well. buymeacoffee.com/NBA Straya. Join the Dead Set Legends Club. We're going to have the top 5 most exciting, fun, Jim's favourite players at every position. This should be out this week as well, so that'll be fun. But that's it. Nothing at the end of this one. I got to get out of here, get this one up so you can listen to it before tomorrow's games. So we'll catch you tomorrow, you dickheads. Here's to an awesome, massive, chaotic final day of the NBA regular season. This is NBA Australia saying, look after yourselves, would you? And later, hosen.